Welcome back students in our this session, and this is your assignment number 4 of chapter Respiratory System. Now today I am going to teach you the role of blood during the gaseous exchange. Now one of the most important functions of the blood is to transport oxygen to different organs of the body and collect carbon dioxide from them. So this is one of the most important function of the blood, that it transports oxygen to different organs of the body and it collects carbon dioxides from them. A respiratory pigment, hemoglobin, present in the red blood corpuscles or RBCs, they act as a respiratory carrier in our body. So this a respiratory pigment, that is hemoglobin, it is present in the red blood corpuscles and it works as a respiratory carrier in our body. Now hemoglobin plus oxygen gives out oxyhemoglobin in the blood, and oxyhemoglobin gives out oxygen plus hemoglobin in tissues. Now here you can see in the diagram that how this oxygen enters in the blood. You can easily see here that capillary from pulmonary artery. These arteries they are connected with the heart, and it contains the red blood cells. Here you can see these small tiny structures, they are red blood cells, and the oxygen enters in the red blood cells and it enters to the pulmonary vein. This oxygen enters to the pulmonary vein and the red blood cells, then it diffuses the carbon dioxide, it diffuses out from this pulmonary vein. Epithelium of the alveolus is here, you can see, then a film of moisture is here, and this gaseous exchange, the carbon dioxide, it escapes into the alveolus through this pulmonary vein. So in this way the gaseous exchange takes place. Now we see the next topic, breathing and its mechanism. Now air is pulled into the lungs and then pushed out before being drawn in again. This in and out movement of air is called breathing. This you all know that all the living things, they breathe, and the breathing concept is that when air is pulled into the lungs and then it pushed out before being drawn out, this in and out movement of air is called breathing. It is brought about by the movements of the ribs and diaphragm. Now this in and out movement, it comes out from the ribs and from the diaphragms. Now the next topic is composition of inhaled and exhaled air. The air that is inhaled has more oxygen and less carbon dioxide, while the air that is exhaled has more percentage of carbon dioxide and less percentage of oxygen. Now this also you know that the air that we breathe, it contains more oxygen and less carbon dioxide, and while the carbon dioxide that we exhaled out, it contains the less percentage of oxygen but more percentage of carbon dioxide. Since most of the oxygen gets used up during cellular respiration for various metabolic processes. For example, you can see here the components of air and the inhaled and exhaled are percentage. Oxygen, it inhaled 21% and exhaled out 16.4%. Then carbon dioxide, inhaled percentages 0.03% and exhaled percentages 4.4%. Difference, you can see the difference between inhalation and exhalation. Now inhalation means intercostal muscles contract, lifting the ribs upwards and outwards. Now while we breathe, the intercostal muscles, they contract and they lift the ribs in the upward and in the downward directions. Now for exhalation, the intercostal muscles, they relax letting the ribs drop downwards and inwards. Second is the diaphragm contracts and it is pulled down and it flattens. Now when we inhale, the diaphragm it contracts and it is pulled down and it becomes flat. For exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and it is pushed back to its original dome-like position. I'll show you in the picture. So here are the two pictures of inhalation and exhalation. Now when we breathe, when we take in oxygen, the diaphragm it contract and then relax also, and it becomes flat. And when we release it, the diaphragm moves back to its resting position. So in this way, the inhale and exhalation process takes place. You can see here there is a trachea over here, and through this trachea there is a rib cage, and this rib cage it protects all the internal organs. Then thoracic cavity is there. When volume is greater, air pressure decreases and the diaphragm becomes flattened. Then the diaphragm muscles contract and diaphragm flattens. The movement increases the volume of the thoracic cavity. As a result, the pressure of air inside the thoracic cavity decreases and becomes less than atmospheric pressure. So air therefore is drawn into the lungs. In this way, the air reaches to the lungs. Then for exhaling process, you can see here that thoracic cavity, the volume is less and air pressure increases. Then the rib cage lowers. When the air pressure increases, the rib cage lowers down and the diaphragm moves back to its resting position. So this is the movement of inhaling and exhaling of air. Now we see the third point of inhalation. The volume inside the thoracic cavity increases during the inhalation process. In exhalation, the volume inside the thoracic cavity it decreases. Then air, which is rich in oxygen, from its higher pressure moves inside the lungs through nostrils. We breathe through nostrils, and this air it reaches with the high pressure into our lungs during the inhalation process. Then in exhalation process, the air, which is rich in carbon dioxide and water vapors, which is at higher pressure in the lungs, is forced out through the nostrils. So this is the difference of inhalation and exhalation, and you have to learn it, and it is important also. Now, during this process of inhalation and exhalation, the cage formed by the ribs and diaphragm is elastic. The ribs and the diaphragm, they are elastic in nature. As it moves, the pressure in the lungs changes. It is the change in pressure that causes inhaling, means breathing in, and exhaling means breathing out. So just because of this elastic nature of ribs and diaphragm, it can contract and it can expand, and it moves with the pressure in the lungs also changes. So that's all for this session, and soon I upload the next video for you all. Till then, thank you.